Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Today we are talking about an outdoors garment that is designed not only to be pretty much a tank, but also to keep you as dry as possible. With the third little one, which is probably to last a zombie apocalypse. Talking to Jacob, the guy behind these smocks and Lockwood smocks. The whole idea is something that will last, which I certainly like the idea of. Now, we are going to have a look at the smock, but what I just wanted to do, I think it's important to give you a little bit of story behind these smocks beforehand. So I'll leave a timestamp here, whichever way it goes. If you want to just fast forward to that bit, that's fine. But if you want to learn a little bit more about the history, the idea behind these smocks, it'll only be a minute or two. So the smock here itself, this is the Churchill smock. There are a few different versions of these, and mainly it comes down to the kind of the colours and some small slight changes to them, but mainly it comes down to the colours. There is a Brecon version after the Brecon beacons, which is in multicam or MTP. There is a black version, and there's a really nice kind of Roman red version. When you go onto the website, you'll see Jacob's partner wearing it, and she looks awesome wearing them. So there's a few different colours, but for Jacob himself, Jacob is an active serviceman in the British Army, looking to use some of his, the experience that he's gathered over the years into making something for outdoors use. Their kind of tagline, or the area they're looking more towards, is more like agricultural and equestrian, which totally makes sense. This is the type of thing that I know my granddad would have had on his farm. He'd have done, this would have been that jacket that would always been on the seat in his landy, so that when he went out, he'd always got something to make sure he was warm or dry, or bringing back a lamb that was ill or something, he'd wrap it up in this, that kind of thing. I think growing up in rural England, this is the type of jacket, or the Kingdom of the Moorland, sorry, should I have said. This is the type of jackets that you see around a lot. At the moment, they are only making these in small batches. So when I got this from them, and by the way, so I have purchased this from them. He did me a small discount, which I was very grateful for. But I did purchase this from them. At this moment in time, they are making them in small 50 batch versions. The main reason that they're doing that is because they're a small or growing company. Doing them in smaller batches to start off with means that they can change, they can modify, they can adapt to different feedback from the customers. I was lucky enough to get this one, and this one was from the initial first batch. There are a few things, and I've been very honest with Jacob about this, there are a few things that I would change about this, which I'll show you today, but they are things that they have had other feedback from other customers that have purchased one of these, and there's certainly things that they will adapt and they will change as it grows as well. So yeah, one of the second points is, and I think this is just as important, is that everything about this is British English. This has been made. So this was designed in London. The fabric that this is made from was made in Lancashire. The seamstresses that put this together are English. They are made here in the UK. So when you're purchasing this, it's English craftsmanship. It's British craftsmanship, and that's one thing that Lockwood Smocks really wanted to make sure that they grounded themselves in, which I completely understand and completely respect. We have some world-class craftsmanship here in the UK, and this really kind of sings the praises of that. The caveat kind of with that is, if you're after a cheap Chinese-made smock, this isn't the smock for you. English labour, British labour, the costs are a little bit higher. These are around, I think at the time, I checked this morning, I'm sure I checked this morning, these are about £500, but again, so the craftsmanship, the level of design that's been put into this, and the fact that this really will last, especially when we have a look at the materials that this is made from, yeah, absolutely amazing. Now, getting into the actual smock itself, I kind of touched on the colours on the previous bit, but I really should mention them now again, just in case you didn't watch that bit. As far as the colours are concerned, at the time of filming, this is available in 3 or 4 different colours. There is the green version here, and this is the Churchill version. There is a black version, which I've forgotten the name. I think it was called the Metropolitan. There is a kind of a Roman red version, which is again very nice, and the Brecken's version is in either, I think it's either in multicam or it's in MTP. It's probably in multicam because it's easier to get, but it should be in anyway, whichever one it is. The MTP and multicam, they're brothers from a different mothers. Anyway, you know what I mean. So there are a few different colour variations out there depending on what you're after. As far as the sizes is concerned, I got this in extra large. When I was talking to Lockwood Smocks, they got 3 left and one of them was an extra large, and it fits me just perfectly. So much so that when I've got this on, so I've been wearing this, when did I get this now? Actually, I know when I got this. I got this 2 days before I went away for my anniversary with Mrs. Moorlander. So I got this on January the 13th. So I've had this through one of the coldest periods of the winter. I've had this through spring, and it's the summer now, and yeah, it fits me great. So as I mentioned, so I'll try and remember these. I'm 5'10", which is 176 centimeters. I've got 46 to 48 inch chest, 36 inch waist. I'm about 15 stone, just slightly less, which is about 200 pounds and about 95 kilos. And yeah, it fits me. It fits me just right. It kind of feels a little bit like it's tailored for me. At the moment, I'm just wearing a t-shirt underneath this. I will mention that it does get warm in here, but just a t-shirt on here on today. I think it's about 17 degrees today, and you know, I'm fine. I'm not too hot. Through the winter, being able to put a t-shirt on underneath here, and then put another shirt underneath here, and then put on a gilet underneath here. I mean, I'm going fully British agricultural with a gilet, a leather-lined gilet. Was great underneath here. There's still plenty of room, still kept me nice and warm. Now the materials on here, as I mentioned, you know, we're talking super robust materials. The outer material on here, if I take this off for a second, the outer material on here is a 1000D Cordura. Not only a 1000D Cordura, but it is a PU coated 1000D Cordura. Now the PU coating is on the inside, as you get with a lot of PU coating Corduras, and then there'll be like a DWR coating on the outside. So when this does get wet, the water beads and just completely rolls off it. If that's not enough, the lining in here, this is a PU coated water resistant polyester lining. So when you have this on, and I will definitely recommend checking out the Lockwood social media, mainly because Jacob and his beautiful partner have both had one of these on and stood in front of a pressure washer and turned around, and they've come away absolutely bone dry. I've not put it through that just yet, but we did have some torrential downpours this winter, and I'm happy to say, whilst in here, I was bone dry, and it really does feel like when you've got this on, you've just put over a Sherman tank to... I should have thought of a British tank. What's a British tank? That's not the Abrams. If I remember rightly, Jacob works with the tanks. That showed terrible lack of knowledge of how the British Army work with tanks. But anyway, so yeah, when you put this on, it really does feel like you're kind of bulletproof. Now I will say with this, as you can imagine though, with a 1000D Cordura, it is pretty tough. There is a, if I bring this close, there is a crinkle factor to this. I certainly don't mind that, mainly because, like with a lot of things, if you want something to be waterproof and weather resistant, then you kind of got to just bring into the fact that it just needs to be a little bit more tougher on the outside, which is why we call them, we've got soft shells and we've got hard shells. Now, as far as the hard shells are concerned, this is a very hard shell when you've got it on, but again, knowing that I'm going to be bone dry whilst wearing this, this is great. One of the other, so I took this to South Wales with me and there was a lot of rain there and it was perfect. One of the beauties of this is I've actually had this in the boot of my car, so when I go and watch my youngest daughter play football, if it's going to be raining, I put this on, I put the hood up, and I'm just there in a little world of my own. And yeah, I get back, my daughter's absolutely drenched because she's been playing football for an hour and a half, and take this off, get back in the car, and it's great. I think bringing into the fact that their kind of idea is agricultural and equestrian, then it makes perfect sense. If you have a look on the website as well, you'll see a lot of genuine farmers that have made reviews on these and left comments on here as well, and they've said that it's one of the toughest things that they've ever put on. Now, I will say, because you're probably thinking at this point, so wait, you've got a man-made PU lined polyester liner with a man-made nylon PU lined outer, that might get a little bit sweaty. Now, I will say, so on some of the walks that I've done with this, I just simply wore too much while I was underneath. I had to take a layer off, put that in my bag, and once I'd done that, I was fine. I have spoken to Lockwood about that, and it's something that they might possibly look into, but it's nothing that is beyond the point that I've just been absolutely drenched with sweat whilst walking. But I think it'd be right just to mention that these do get warm in the winter. The extra point with that is, though, that you don't have to wear as many layers underneath, but like with most things, to make sure that you can stay as dry as possible, there are some kind of there's some to's and fro's with that, isn't there? Now, going through the actual features of here, so I hope if I zip this up, you'll see on the front, so you have this large, and I really do mean large zip on here, and it is a double zip, so you can open it from the top or you can open it from the bottom. So putting this on, I don't know what you call this. I call it a floating zip. You see this a lot with a lot of kind of military garments. So here at the bottom, where the zip is, the actual buckles, these there's probably an inch and a half maybe or so at the bottom where this isn't actually attached to it. It is bar stitched on here. This is not coming loose, by the way. But what that does is, because this material is so tough and there's not as much give in it, when you're trying to put these in, you can actually just lift these up so that they're separate from here. I think it's a great feature, and again, you know, talking to Jacob about his military experience, you can see that he's got that and he's decided to add this on here. So zipping up, this will zip up all the way up to the front. I can put the hood up on here, and as I mentioned, so watching my daughter play football in this is great. Zipping it up to the top if you need to, and especially if you're getting in and out of vehicles, you can open this at the bottom, so it's easier to be able to sit in the vehicle that you're in. Or if it is that you are the equestrian side, having this open whilst you're on a horse certainly will make it a little bit easier. Oh, actually, to mention on the front, so there is a large zip hood on this, and it does have three or four buttons. So there's one here, and then I think there's two at the top. Yes, there are two at the top here. Now, the buttons on these are Canadian buttons. Canadian buttons? What's a Canadian? So a Canadian button, a normal button has those 4 holes in it, and that's how it's stitched on. A Canadian button, if you look, so this has a piece of webbing that runs all the way through here, and the buttons are held on through 2 small slots, and that's the difference between a normal button and a Canadian button. So the buttons on here, you can button these up if you wanted to, just to allow a little bit more air through. Now, one of the things that I have mentioned to Lockwood is, at the moment, these buttons are really nice. They're just a little bit small, and it is one of the things they've had some feedback from some other customers, and it's one of the things that they're going to be addressing. There is another batch, I believe, coming out in September. So from the feedback that they've had from this one, which is the initial batch, this is the brand new you know, these were the kind of the first batch. These are the Mark 1s are concerned. So the new batch that's coming out in September, they will have larger buttons on here. The buttons as they are, they're not too bad. I can do these up with no issues, but with gloves on, they are a bit of a struggle. But they are going to be addressing those and putting on bigger, gnarlier kind of buttons. So I like that. So that's the zippers. Now, hopefully you've seen, I have a large hood on this, and it is massive. Maybe ever so slightly a little bit too big. However, having a large noggin that I do, nothing can ever really be too big. I'm sure that's what she said in there somewhere. But so the hood on this now, I'm just going to stoop down for a second. So when you have this on, it has a metal bead through the front here, so you can completely mold this to your face if you need to. To help with how large the hood is, there is a button system here on the back. If I undo this, so hopefully you can see you have 1, 2 buttons. So if you do need to pull it in, I have it so that it is pulled in, so that it's an actual little bit smaller. But yes, so you can fit this easily over a helmet. If you are an equestrian type and you're out and you have your helmet on, which you probably should do, then you can get this over a helmet. Now, when it's on, you can see just how big this is. Now, luckily, because of the quite tough nature of the Cordura, so how I've had this is, let me zip this back up again. You can kind of fold this. And what you can do is, when it's on, or at least when it's back like this, give it a pinch, give it a fold, and it sits perfectly just in the nape of your neck. No issues with it whatsoever. Zip this up on the front. I can kind of get my face in here to get my face out of the wind, but it sits perfectly at the back. But then when you need it, lift it up, pull it down, and do the same. So give it a pinch at the back, it sits at the back of the nape of your neck, and then it sits there perfectly. If you want to then put a helmet on, you can put your helmet over the top of this, and it'll fit in there perfectly. Maybe if you're out doing some field sports, if you want to put a headset underneath here, or you've got some ear pro, then you can do that as well, and you're not going to have any issues getting this over your head. Now, as far as storage on this is concerned, on the inside of here there are no, there's no internal pockets, there's no poacher style pockets here at the bottom. I think that would be a nice little feature if they could add a poacher style pocket in here. That way, if you've got some gloves, you just want to keep your gloves warm, you can put them in here. I think that'd be nice. I don't think it takes anything away from this though. If that was a feature that they added in the future, that'd be great. If they didn't, I don't think you're really missing out on anything. I just think it'd be kind of cool if they did add that. As far as the rest of the storage is concerned, hopefully you've seen me putting my hands down in these pockets here at the bottom. So what you have is you have a fairly traditional 4-pocket setup. Now the 4 pockets, so there's actually 6 in total on the front here. So on the chest here you do have 2 pockets here which you can put your hands into to keep your hands nice and warm if you're out walking, if you've got a backpack on, all of that sort of stuff. These are the best pockets for those. The pockets on here are angled ever so slightly down and ever so slightly forward, so that when your hands are in, they fit perfectly into each of those. They do have a rain cover, and the rain cover fits perfectly into the pocket. So when you're not using that, if I push that in like that, you'll see that it fits within these seams here, which just gives it more of a cleaner kind of look to that. However, if you're not the type to use those pockets, then you can pull these out, and you have again some more buttons here. Now these are the buttons that are a little bit more of a faff, which again they're updating to make sure that these are easier to do. Just doing these without gloves is it's not tricky, but I think if you tried to do these with gloves, you'd probably struggle. But again, you know, they're gonna sort that, and they sit perfectly flat against the front. And then down at the bottom here, so you have 2 pockets here. Now, these are 2 pockets, mainly because, well, they're the same on each side. You have one this side and you have one that side, but there are actually 2 pockets here. So at the top, coming downwards, you have a traditional farmer's style pocket. You come in from the top, you put your gloves, you put whatever you need into these, your car keys, you're out walking, you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. Behind these though, you have 2 shooter style pockets that come in from the back here and come forward, which again, dependent on whichever one you want to use, whether you're down from the top, whether you're in from the back, there's definitely, that's what she said there, then you can go with each of those. Personally, I'm that kind of guy, you know, nothing says rural UK, nothing says rural Kingdom Moorlands as walking around with your hands in your pockets like this. Yeah, really do like these. The pockets on these are roll over pockets as well. So have you come across roll over pockets before? Probably, but just in case. So a roll over pocket, there is your top flap which closes your pocket, but the actual pocket itself comes up into that flap. So here's the flap, here's the front of the flap. If I pull this up like that, hopefully you'll see this is actually the top of the pocket. So to get into this, you're almost kind of rolling like a rollover kind of backpack kind of thing. So you have to roll this over to be able to close this. That adds so many different advantages. One, if you're putting stuff in there, it's harder for it to kind of just accidentally fall out. 2, things like, well, the main ones are water resistance and just stopping crap from getting in. When you're a little bit agricultural, you'll know that your pockets end up with just random shite in there, and I don't mean just random stuff that you've picked up through the day. I'm talking about bits of bracken, I'm talking about lamb's bloody wool, all that kind of dirt and crap that you get from operating in farms and that sort of stuff. So rollover pockets just again stops all of that crap from being able to get in there. And then just to make sure that they are closed, you have pockets on each of them. So the pockets, buttons on each of the pockets will make sure that they stay closed. Now if it is that you need to do any adjustments on the jacket, just in case it's ever so slightly small or ever so, well, you know, get the larger size, whatever it is that you're going for. So you do have some elastic here at the waist. Now the elastic on this probably just needs to be a little bit tougher, and that's one of the other feedbacks. So other than the buttons, which we've kind of addressed and you know they're looking at, with the elastic on here, if I pull this elastic even tighter, it doesn't actually bunch in, mainly because it's freaking 1000D Cordura, mate. It needs some tough elastic. But again, that can be easily fixed. All they need to do is just add some tougher elastic onto here, and that will update itself. Even if they didn't, you can take this elastic out, get some 550 paracord, put some 550 paracord through there, so if you did need to cinch it down, I can't count the amount of times that my granddad would come in with like chickens and stuff inside here, and he just tied a piece of rope around him. That, you know, that's what these things are also there for as well. So yeah, I think this is one thing that could be updated, but again, I think that will be an easy fix. Plus the hood, so inside the hood, you have similar elastic here, which again, if they updated that, just make it just a little bit thicker, a little bit tougher, then yeah, perfect. I feel like I don't want you to come away with any of these as sort of negatives, and that's the beauty of Lockwood and them doing in small batches of 50. They can address small issues like these, because they really are small issues. I know I've mentioned the buttons in these, but they really are tiny small issues, which, yeah, easy to fix. Oh, the last little bit I forgot to mention, so there is also here on the bicep, so this is purely for right-handed people. If you're left-handed, It's just tough, you guys. You know, you've lived your entire life being left-handed. You know what the deal is. Yes. So here on the left bicep that is operated with your right hand, you do have another pocket on here. The pocket's reasonably big, so if you've, got a certain tool or something that you want to put in there, then you can put it in the larger side. But you'll see, hopefully there's a seam just down here. See if I can get this open. I can't get this one open. I can, of course I can. So you have a larger pocket here, and then on this side there is a smaller pocket, so if you want to put a pen in there, if you've got a pen style flashlight, you can put that in there as well. Yeah. On the wrists, whenever I've handed this to Mrs. Moorlander and she's decided she's going to wear this, so there is some wrist adjustment. Similar with the Canadian buttons that you have down the front here, you have two buttons here. I keep it on just the normal kind of size. Whenever Mrs. Moorlander borrows this, she puts it on the smaller size. So perfect whether you've got masculine or feminine wrists. Now for my wrists, I've got a 7.5-inch wrist. I have worn this whilst I was out walking in the winter with some reasonably thick kind of leather gloves, insulated gloves. No issues whatsoever. If it's on, you need to check the time. It's, oh, I pressed the button on my watch. It's very simple to be able to check that. Even just getting your hands in and out of the pockets. The cuffs on here don't restrict you to be able to get your hands in. I know which sounds like a strange thing to say, but sometimes something just get in the way. I think the way that this has been tailored and the way this has been designed for me, for the way that I wear this, and you know, for the sizes here, putting my arms out, and for the reach and the way that these draw back, again, is just, yeah, it's just perfect. And there you have it. So this is the Churchill Smock from Lockwood Smocks. Now they are there are some other things that they've done. So there is a gilet that they've done. I believe, if it's not out already, I don't know if I should say this, I think there's a flat cap that they're working on as well. Apologies if I've just spoiled something there. I might need to take that bit out. I'll bleep that bit out if I can't say that. But yes, I like the fact that they are a growing company. I like the fact that, one, you know, buying something like this is helping to support British servicemen and women. I think that is a good thing. I also think that purchasing something like this is also good, that it's helping to support British manufacturing as well, which again I think is another good thing. And I know I keep mentioning this, but the fact that they are on the smaller side, but they're growing, they have the ability to be able to take in feedback directly from the people that are buying their garments and going, okay, so the next batch comes out in, I know the next batch for this one comes out in September, these are the things that we're going to update, let's have a look at the buttons, let's see if we can change this ever so slightly, and it can evolve as their business grows until maybe in 2 years time, everyone's just going, yeah, absolutely perfect. That sounded really negative then. I didn't mean to say it like that. What I meant is that it will grow into kind of a community style jacket, so that there's all of this feedback that it will grow into, and yeah, everyone will love it. That did sound negative. I say sometimes things that sound negative, but I really want them to be positive, and the reaction that I have from this is overly positive. Anyway, I feel like I'm kicking myself in the face there with that one. So I want to say a huge thank you to Jacob from Lockwood Smocks. As I mentioned, I did purchase this myself. They did give me a small discount. I think at this moment in time, there is a discount on the website if you sign up for their newsletter, which is always a good thing. I highly recommend following them on the social medias. I follow them on Instagram, and you can see all of the kind of the cool things that they're doing as their business grows as well. I think Jacob is in the process of leaving the army, or he's getting close to the end of his commission, is it called? Anyway, so yeah, I wish him all the best for the future. I really am looking forward to seeing more that comes from them. So of course I'll leave all of their links below so that you can see more from them on social media and so on and so forth. I'll leave some of my social media links below as well, so that you can see more from me here on Moorlander EDC. And my sister channel, I have another channel called Moorlander Tactical, which is all of your kind of your tactical needs. And whether you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. I was more than happy to. One of the big things about this is Moorlander EDC. Today we are having a look at an outdoors piece of garmentry. An outdoors garment? No, let's start that again.